Lots of people here who would marry you, Bianca.
Really? Show me one. He didn't put the lenses I asked him. I'm very fond of England, you know, I miss it a lot. But I think of England as a place I like to be married, not as a woman alone. I found it a difficult place for a woman alone to live when I was here after my divorce. It means my daughter, because she's very English. I'd be very sad today if I hadn't had a child. And in a way, I wish I had had another one, you know. But then it would mean for me, I mean, losing, because you lose your independence. And it would mean giving up everything I'm trying to do today.
So what are the things then that you would be so loath to give up that you call your independence now that would stop you from having another child?
Well, first of all, I don't have anybody in mind to have another child. So
I'm sure you've had plenty of offers, Bianca.
Well, offers is not the answer.
You're going to have to enroll with Dateline, are you?
And then the other thing is, well, I'm going to university at the moment. It will be very hard. I do a lot of political work. I'm involved with things like Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Honduras. I lobby in Congress, give lectures in universities and colleges.
But did you find it hard to convince people, you know, especially the public, that you were serious about these issues after having a lot of very bad and possibly very unfair press?
The issues that I care for were a lot more strong than the criticism that I could have gotten at the time, and that if I really care about it, I had to overcome them and go along with my life and continue doing what I had to do, regardless of, you know.
Well, how angry did it make you, though, at the time when people were pointing the finger and accusing you of being less than sincere?
It made me very angry, very frustrated. I thought it was part of this whole prejudice against women, you know.
Well, it was a bit unfortunate. You couldn't have chosen a more chauvinist world to marry into, though, than the rock and roll world.
Well, I tell you what it taught me. It taught me to stand my ground, to fight for my identity. It made me define my identity even more than probably I would have if I had married someone, or in a world where women were considered to be almost equal. I don't think that I had any idea of what kind of world I was getting married into. And I had no idea that I was going to enter such a battlefield. I believe in marriage. I didn't, you know, at no time, I mean, because I feel that there is so inequality for women, that marriage is not a viable thing. I do believe in marriage, and if I had been able to, I would have stayed married forever.
It's quite a romantic vision, though.
Yes, I'm a romantic person.
Are you? A lot of people wouldn't suspect that.
No, people who know me, they know I am.
So, in that case, when your first marriage failed, for whatever reason, why did you not instantly want to...
Get married again?
Yes,
no.
Go. Can we go in here again? Because it's raining. I'm not dealing with this brolly very well.
Well, because first of all, I have become very cautious, and at the moment, I think what I want to concentrate is what I want to do in my life, the sort of life that I want to lead, and even being in love. is almost incompatible, you know, because the thing with women is that when men are in love, love is always secondary to the work. But for us women, in some ways, love takes over our life, and then our work becomes secondary.
But it's a huge thing you're saying there. I mean, you're implying that, for instance, if I wanted to be successful in my career, I can't afford to be in love.
No, I didn't say that. I said that we have to find the balance between the two things so that we are capable of having a career and having a marriage that works.
Was the fact that of your extreme beauty not a bit of, well, quite frankly, an obstacle? Because had you come from Nicaragua, a fiery young Nicaraguan boy, things might have turned out very differently for you. This thing of getting in the way of being beautiful automatically makes people think less of women.
Yes, for many years I think that I had the obsession that had I been a man, things would have been easier. But I wanted to, you know, emulate, you know, I mean, a man, I think, because I felt that as a child I lost my father's love when my brother was born. I think this is part of my subconscious at the time. And therefore I wanted very much to be like my father, and I dressed men clothes, you know, and I became a kind of dandy, and I wore a walking stick, and I did all kinds of things when I was young that at the time I didn't know why I was doing them, you know. I mean, people thought it was just a question of fashion, but it wasn't at all a question of fashion. It was a question that I felt that if I was a man, you know, it would be easier for me to exist in a world of thinking people, not in a world where I would be only considered because I was a woman and I was good looking, and therefore I'd be judged for my looks, which is what I rebelled against that. I didn't want to be judged for my look. I wanted to be something else. I mean, I suppose fighting, I mean, and suing for libel, you know, in a case like I am doing now, I think is as well something that many people will advise you not to, you know, because it means another battle. You know.
This is the Warhol case that you're suing.
Yes, and so...
Can I just ask technically how you can do that? If he's dead, you have to sue the publishers.
Yes, I'm suing the publisher.
Right, because obviously you're not going to get much out of Andy, are you? What was it like in the years when you were very much part of the jet set and seen at every famous party?
Don't forget that the thing that a lot of people seem to misunderstand is that if you read about someone in the public eye that is at a party, and you read it in many magazines, and that person doesn't go anywhere for months or two, and you go to the next one, it looks as if you put it together, it seems like if you were every night at a party, or every night you were doing that. But it isn't, you know. I mean, people's lives are not like that, even if they are in the public eye.
Well, what did you spend your life doing then when you weren't partying?
Well, I began to do movies whilst I was married. And then, you know, I continued doing television and film after I separated, you know, and then I did a lot of TV in America, like Miami Vice and The Colbys and Hotel and The Nighthawks, and I did other films like Cannonball Run. And
did all that work make you very wealthy, or did it just sort of keep the wolf from the door?
Well, it paid for my living, and maybe becoming wealthy has not been the most important part, if you want to. I mean, it's only now that I think I'm going to work to make my life easier financially.
Well, it's also looking towards when you're older. I know you're still young before you bite my head off. But one day, hopefully, if the planet stays in one piece, you're going to be an older woman.
Yeah.
And I wonder how you prepare for that. For a start, does it worry you about the inevitable loss of looks that will come with age?
Well, I have difficulty thinking about growing old. I have not yet come to terms with that idea.
Really?
Yes, I No, I think one should grow old graciously, and I think that in a way, when you grow old, it reflects in people's face the way you lived. And that's why maybe I'm so concerned about what kind of life you lead.
I mean, it's almost a contradiction for you to say that you want to grow gracefully, but yet you haven't come to terms with growing old. That does sound to me as if you have come to terms with it. So in what respect haven't you?
But the acceptance of growing old, and I suppose the day when you will see the first wrinkles appear in your face is a very disturbing thing for a woman.
What's wrong with a few wrinkles anyway? They'll just make you more interesting.
I think that's okay for men, but...
Nonsense.
Yeah, I will take them because there is no way to avoid them, but not because I think that they will make me any more different, more interesting. I'm interesting enough as I am. I don't need the wrinkle.
Well, then, talking about the insecurity of the jet-set life, is that... I mean, do you have any major insecurities apart from the obvious one of having a wrinkly face? I mean, what major insecurities do you have?
Well, I'm scared still to walk into a room full of photographers or a room full of people, and then their eyes turning to you when you walk in.
Why did you put up with it then? Why would you put up with walking? For instance, you rode into Studio 54 on a white horse once. It wasn't
I never
exactly...
did. That's a fallacy.
Really?
This is a complete myth, one of those things that people create. I had a birthday party at that place, and someone brought a horse. Two people came in riding a horse. And when the horse came in, I said I want to ride the horse. And I got on the horse and I rode it for a few steps. And then that became Bianca Jagger rode a horse into Studio 54. But that's part of all the myth that people have about things you do in your life. I mean, when you look back and you think about what's real and what is a creation of the media or what is a distortion of facts, it's quite amazing, I mean, and you look at it and you say, my God, I mean, is that supposed to be me, or was I supposed to have done those things? I keep a diary, so I know what I did.
Walk with you. Talk with you.
Now, being brought up in Nicaragua, I presume you were brought up a Catholic, is that right?
Indeed,
and
very much a Catholic.
Do you still adhere to that religion? Are you still a Catholic?
Once a Catholic, always a Catholic. Yes, I am, very much. I am a Catholic, very much so.
Practicing?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah. I feel is a very important thing in life, to have had a religion and to still be Catholic today.
It's a very harsh religion. It's all about punishment and reward. I mean, are you such a hardline Catholic that you genuinely believe that if you die without having the last rites, you'll go to purgatory and possibly hell?
Objectively, I mean, intellectually, I might say no, but I think that very deep inside, yes, I still believe that you do.
What a thing to live with.
I mean, Catholicism is all about guilt and fear of punishment, and you can't undo the things, I mean, they're so deeply rooted in you when you've gone to a convent. I mean, I went to a convent as a child, and as a young girl, studying in a convent, and I couldn't today just turn around and say, well, all of that is rubbish. Maybe that accounts in some ways to the idea that I never got married again, because I feel that you get married once, and that's it, that's forever, that's for life.
You really feel that?
Somewhere, I think, in my subconscious, that must mean something for me.
So in other words, you feel deep down inside yourself that until the day Mick Jagger drops dead, you can never really get married again?
No, you put words in my mouth. I didn't say that, but I feel that in some ways that has bearing on me.
I'm astonished. I really am astonished. I really expected you to say, well, I was brought up a Catholic, but of course, no, I can't accept those things as being true anymore. Because, I mean, let's talk about the idea of hell for a start.
Yeah.
This fascinates me.
Yes, I suppose that it is wrong, I mean, and then we grow obsessed with that, you know, with the idea of hell. I mean, I'm not obsessed with hell, by the way.
You're not?
No.
Do you think, then, that the life to come is more important than the life you're leading just now? Your mortal life?
No, I think that is a very important part of my future, the life to come.
So you're that certain that it's there?
How can one be certain? But I mean, I believe that there is a life after this one, afterwards.
And have you led a life so far, then, that...
She's going to confess me.
Well, you know what I mean? Do you think you've led a life that will lead you to this other life you believe in?
I'm a pretty good person, I think. And I don't know, I mean, you never know what I might do tomorrow, but I hope that I will have time to repent if I commit any... I mean, we're making joke of all this, but it's not a joking thing. I mean, I think I'm a pretty fair person. What religion are you?
I'm none, I'm afraid. I wasn't even christened. I probably have 666 stamped on my skull.
Well, you mean you're going to limbo?
Oh, is that where I go? Oh no! Oh, what's there?
Well, if they don't baptize you, you're going to go to limbo.
I go to limbo?
That's what we're supposed to believe in the Catholic religion.
Well, it
yeah.
sounds kind of cool. Sounds better than hell anyway. Limbo, we get to go under big poles.
That's not the same limbo.
Then in that case, are you using this belief as a kind of a crutch?
For what?
To get you through this life, because this life is a
But
difficult thing.
religion is being a crutch for people, you know. In some ways, one of the things that the Catholic religion did wrong, like, say, in third world countries or in very poor countries, is that they taught people to be resigned to their destiny and accept suffering and accept the fact that they were exploited, with the idea that they could think about the life afterwards, you know. And in some ways, that's why the new revisionist people in the Catholic religion in Latin America are trying to reverse that and teach them the teachings of Jesus Christ, which is that Jesus Christ stood for the poor and was really one of them. You know, I think one of the things which is difficult today is that people want everything to be easy. Like when you talked about hell and, you know, punishment. I think it's only in the sense that if you understand that everything you do in life has a price, you know, ultimately, and that sometimes things that are hard and you know, that discipline has a reward at the end.
Do you believe in the black and white of good and evil? Do you think
No, I think everything is relative, but there is certainly. There is a good and there is an evil, you know. It's not necessarily black and white, but...
what would you think? What would you think was an evil then?
Well, I mean, if you go to places like Central America and you meet military men who have assassinated and tortured and hundreds of people for the pleasure of doing it, you know, for a pursuit of a foolish idea, I can assure you that you realize you're in front of someone evil.
Do you regret, or maybe I'm jumping to conclusions here, was there a time in your young life when you were rather more of a trivial person, where you didn't think those bigger thoughts? And was that wasted time if that was the case?
Well, it depends on what period of my life, you know. I set out, when I left Nicaragua, I went out to France, to Paris to study political science. So politics were always on my mind. And then I think there was a parenthesis during my married life where I became distant from my country and from political thoughts. You know, I grew up in Nicaragua during the time of Somoza, and I participated in student demonstrations at the time. So it wasn't like if I was someone who never thought about it, you know. And I went to Paris because I wanted to be a diplomat or a politician. So it wasn't like there I was a daft young girl who only thought about what dress I would wear, you know. It was just that I think it was a question of circumstance and an opportunity, and that I didn't, during that time, pursue them.
You were treated,
during my married time.
well, you were treated very unfairly during your marriage by the press then. Why did you let that continue? Why did you not put them right?
It's all very difficult to understand that when you are in your 20s, you know, in your early 20s, and you think, what's happened to me? I mean, the next day of my marriage, when I woke up and I read the newspaper, and I thought, oh my God. I mean, first of all, it wasn't, you know, an accurate account of what the wedding was like. But of course, it all had to be magnified and made to look scandalous, because that's what, you know, the rock and roll world is supposed to be like. And therefore, it's like you have to pursue that, and because, you know, to describe someone as being a normal person, they don't think is glamorous or interested enough. You know, to have feelings and to be sad or to be Catholic, or to believe, you know, in good and evil, or all of those things. Of course not. How could she? It's almost as if these people are not human. So we go back to our original conversation, which is persevere.
You keep yourself in enormous trim. I mean, even at lunchtime you were knocking back the vitamins, and you do weights and you run. Are you body obsessed?
Am I body obsessed? I'm health conscious, and I believe that we are the result of what we do. I mean, yes, I mean, I exercise a lot, but you know, it gives me pleasure. I love to exercise, and I feel a lot better when I eat healthy. I mean, don't the Chinese or the Japanese believe that to improve your sex you have to eat little?
What, eat not very much?
I don't know, we have to call the Chinese men to tell us more about it.
But I mean, you said that you were quite puritanical, that, you know, in your younger days. Have you got over those barriers of equating, especially being a Catholic, equating sex with sin? Can you now be a bit more free and easy with yourself and your body and enjoy it as a kind of pastoral pastime?
Remember, it's not only Catholicism who pulls those limitations and those rules in our society. AIDS is replaced Catholicism, and it has in some ways create rules and regulations for people, for them not to be promiscuous. So there is always, I think, something in society that comes along to restrain us. And it's not a question of being Puritan, but it's a question of moderation and a question of finding the right balance, you know.
And do you think now, the age you are, that you've found the right balance between good healthy, hooray sex?
It's very difficult to answer your questions and try to avoid answering them.
Are you going to get married again, do you think?
Well, I didn't think about getting married since I got divorced. I have never met anybody that I wanted to marry except for one person.
And what happened to the one person you wanted to marry?
I put it in a little box. One day I will think about it again.
Why? Why not do it now?
Because we're not together.
Oh, was that your fault or his?
It was nobody's fault. It was life.